Well, welcome to Lesson 3 of our debate unit. Lesson 3 is all about the rebuttal, because it's your time to stick it to your opponent with the rebuttal. So during this lesson, we'll talk about what actually is the rebuttal, what are your responsibilities as a team and as an individual to your team during this time, and also how best can you stick it to your opponent during the rebuttal moments. Actually, before I go on, for the purposes of rebuttal, as a reminder, there will be two different occasions for your team to have a rebuttal session during our classroom debate. That will be first after your opening statements, and the second time will occur right after each team gives their main case. So what are the purposes of a rebuttal? Well, I'm glad you thought and or asked that. First off, one purpose of rebuttal is to clarify an obscure point in an opponent's case. So if an opponent says something during their case time that doesn't make sense to you, you can ask them a question to help them clarify that point that they made. It's also your opportunity to expose errors in your opponent's facts, or to point out ideas or opinions that your opponent said that don't have good supporting details. As I said before, when you're actually making your case in Lesson 2, you have to make sure you fully explain how your details support your argument. The rebuttal is the opportunity to point out if your opponent doesn't do that. It's also, during the rebuttal, the opportunity for you to ask your opponent questions so that they can harm themselves. Also, you can point out any facts or details that your opponent left out of their argument. And it could be things they left out on purpose because it damaged their argument. When you're doing the rebuttal, it's best to ask yes or no questions. You don't want the rebuttal to be the opportunity of your opponent to further explain themselves. Yes or no are great ways to kind of trap your opponent. Again, as I said, you're going to point out fallacies or errors in their argument. To do this, you need to know your opponent's argument very, very well. Finally, the rebuttal is the opportunity for you to strengthen your own argument. Because remember, your opponent is going to be trying to ask you questions as well. Or your opponent's going to be making their case in such a way to make you look bad. So your rebuttal is the opportunity for you to make yourself seem stronger. Make sure that before the rebuttal and before the whole debate begins, that you have a set of questions written down that you want to ask your opponent. Now, in the outline, I've given you a chart where you can actually write down some questions to your opponent. Again, they should be questions that are yes or no answers, but also they should be questions that you know the answer to. Now, during the actual debate, make sure to take notes while the opposition is giving their opening statement and their case. This will help you know what kind of questions to ask them, and maybe some of the questions you created beforehand, after you hear the case, you'll realize they're not going to work. It's not going to show a deficiency or an error in them. Also, you want to take notes during the case portion because you can use those notes in your closing to give a final attack against your opposition. Make sure the questions you ask during the rebuttal time build upon one another and that you can connect those questions. This will make sure that your audience understands whatever point you're trying to make during your question and rebuttal time. During the rebuttal period, both speakers, or whichever speaker you choose, will have the opportunity to ask questions of each other. You can ask, you can answer questions. Remember, you'll have about 2 minutes each, or 2 minutes, about 2 minutes each, I believe. Your questions should be brief and to the point. Your answers, likewise, should be brief and to the point. Next slide is going to go over an example of what a good rebuttal time or session might look like. So, Mr. Mint here is having a rebuttals time against Mr. Guru, but he's on vacation, so I can't, fill in for him. Mr. Mint might start his rebuttal by saying, is it true that pizza is fattening? Now, this is a good question because it's a yes or no question. Mr. Guru will say yes. Now, Mr. Guru has done his research, so he knows the trap that Mr. Mint's putting him in. As you can tell by my speech dialogue, he's about to answer back. He goes, yes, but Mr. Mint, though, knows he's close to scoring a victory, so he doesn't let Mr. Guru continue. And he then says, if it, or pizza, is fattening, how can pizza be the best food? Now, this is what we call kind of a rhetorical question. That it's rhetorical because it doesn't need an answer. The answer has already been stated up here. It's fattening, so it can't be the best food. However, he asks it because Mr. Guru should feel compelled to answer it, but no answer that he gives is going to truly show that pizza is the best food because Mr. Mint already pointed out the fact that it's fattening. So Mr. Guru might just say, well, it's the best food because it has awesome toppings like cheese, pepperoni. Now again, Mr. Mint, seeing that he has victory within grasp, says that those are fattening ingredients, pizza is unhealthy, and this means it is not the best food. Mr. Mint has scored a decisive victory by first off proving, or not, he hasn't proven anything yet, but first off, he gets Mr. Guru to agree that pizza is fattening. He doesn't give Mr. Guru the opportunity to explain himself. And at the very end, Mr. Mint connects the idea of fattening to not being the best pizza, best food. Why? Because it's unhealthy. Nothing Mr. Guru says on this topic is going to show that pizza is going to be victorious in being the best food. Mr. Mint has him firmly trapped. One final thought. Don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to. The rebuttal time is not the time for you to find out what your opponent knows or doesn't know. My previous example here works so well for Mr. Mint because he did his research. He knew that pizza is fattening. He already knew that cheese and pepperoni were fattening ingredients. He knew that ahead of time. Now, if Mr. Guru had said it had, peppers and mushrooms, those aren't fattening, and Mr. Mint might have been in trouble. But he knew that cheese and pepperoni are the most popular ingredients, and he knew those popular ingredients were fattening. So, know ahead of time the questions you're going to ask, and make sure you know what those answers are going to be. Well, this ends Lesson 3. Please continue with the quest.